I was born to a Tibetan father who is an ex-monk and a Mongolian mother who is actually a princess or royalty of the then known Xinjiang. Now it's autonomous part of China. My father had a family in Tibet. He had a wife and he had children. And he was scouting for a place to immigrate from Tibet to Taiwan. So he had gone to Taiwan to look for a place. And while he was there alone. He had left his wife and his children back in Tibet. While he was there, he met up with my mother. And I can say that an interest grew, but my father never revealed to my mother about his family. So my mother was under the assumption that he is single. So they became quite close, and my mother became pregnant by him. And after becoming pregnant, she found out from him that he has a wife and he has another family. And she was very, very unhappy. She was very upset. And being the royal personage that she is, the community, the Mongolian community, the Xinjiang community that was in Taipei at the time, which is quite a few of them, and also in the US and also back in their homeland, Xinjiang, would be very disappointed, and they would be very critical of her being a young girl and being pregnant and not having been married. So she had to give birth to me in secret. So after she found out my father does have a family, she basically cut off all ties with him completely. And she never let him know what had happened to her or myself after she had cut off from him. She gave birth to me in Taiwan itself. And because of the stigma and the shame, that time, 46 years ago, she wasn't able to tell anyone that she had had a child, a son, that was myself. My grandmother, which was her mother, was very supportive and very loving. And I guess my grandmother took one look at me and kind of fell in love and kind of not looked at the way I was conceived, but more at myself. Because I remember my grandmother was very loving towards me. My mother was a different story. She was hurt, she was embarrassed, she was extremely humiliated, and I respect her feelings and I understand. She gave me up for a family in Taiwan for adoption, and the family was paid about $50 US a month to watch me and take care of me. Unfortunately, they didn't do a very good job because there was a lot of marks on my body of beatings and abuse. So my grandmother had flown to Taiwan to take me out from this family. So after I was born, my mother and my grandmother all immigrated to the US. So hence my grandmother came back to Taiwan to get me. And she had arranged another Mongolian adopted family in New Jersey, Howell, New Jersey. So at the age of 7, I was taken away from the first adopted family in Taiwan and went to the US and was given to the second adopted family. The second adopted family were Mongolians, and I became a naturalized citizen of the US, and I stayed with them for about 8-9 years till I was around 15. From a very young age, I was drawn to anything Buddhist. Whether it was a Buddha image, whether it was a TV program on lamas in Tibet, or lamaseries in Tibet, or monasteries, or pictures of various Buddhas from around the world, whether it was Thailand or Cambodia or Japanese or Chinese, in encyclopedias, in books. And I very much spent a lot of time in the school library looking up Buddhism and investigating Buddhism. And I used to Xerox a lot of pictures of various Buddhas and High Lamas and post it up on my wall. And I very much wanted to become a monk. No one told me to be a monk. No one told me to become ordained. but I wanted to be. And I was excited to be. And being in an American neighborhood with American kids, nobody else there except for the local Mongolian community were Buddhists. Basically, I went to an American school. So what happened was people found me odd, not in a negative way, strange that such a young child would be drawn to Buddhism so strongly. And I remember being very young and wanting to always do chanting. And I was always engaged in meditation. And I was always somehow reading up on Buddhism and doing some kind of prayers. And I was drawn. And I used to pretend that I was a High Lama giving teachings to an imaginary crowd. Where this came from, I don't know. How it came from, I don't know. But it was just inside of me. I mean, nobody put it in my head. It was just there, and it was very, very strong in me. So I told my parents, my step-parents in America, that I'm going to grow up and I'm going to be a monk. And I'm not going to get married, and I'm not going to go to college and university, and I'm not going to pursue the American dream or materialistic dream, that I'm going to be a monk. And so they were very upset. They were very worried. They were very concerned. That's not what they adopted me for. They adopted me to be part of their family, to grow up to have a so-called normal American life, which I absolutely did not want. So a lot of tension happened between my parents and me because of this. And at the age of 15, on my third attempt, I ran away. And I hitchhiked from Howell, New Jersey to California. And in California, to make a long story short, when we meet, when and if we meet, I can tell you more. But in California, I met up with a great Dharma teacher whom introduced me to their Dharma teacher. And from there, I connected and was invited to the great Ganden monastery in South India to study and to reside. And I took the offer. So at the age of 7, I left Taiwan. At the age of, I left Taiwan for Howell, New Jersey. At the age of 15, I left Howell, New Jersey for Los Angeles. And from Los Angeles at the age of 22, 23, it was around my birthday time, I left for India. And I have not traveled back to the United States since. And I'm 46 now. I've stayed in India in the monastery, and I was very happy there. Very, very at home. Very comfortable. Extremely happy. At peace. And I felt I belonged there. So after a few years in the monastery, I was recognized as a reincarnation of a deceased Lama who was the abbot of the monastery. So my predecessor was the abbot of the monastery that I had belonged to. And the very teachers that I was attracted to as a child were the teachers of my previous life, I was told. The pictures that I had kept on my shrine in New Jersey, in California, were the very pictures that were my teachers, I was told, in my previous life. That was a little pleasantly haunting to me, because I was attracted to these teachers and the practice, but I didn't know why. So, when I was in the monastery, being one of the few, at that time, English-speaking monks, I was requested to go abroad to teach. So I traveled in Asia to teach at the request of the heads of the monastery. So from traveling, going back to the monastery, traveling, going back to the monastery many, many times, I was requested to stay in Malaysia. And that's what I have done. Being in Malaysia is not so different than being in America. I mean, people are the same everywhere. Everybody wants to, have a good education, get a good job, maybe become famous, make money, have material benefits. And the struggle is always like this, where in developing countries, people are using all the energies to try to get ahead materially. where in countries that are so-called materially advanced, when they have everything, people try to go back to simplicity and find something that makes their mind at peace and happy. So in the developing world, people are looking for peace and happiness, or some kind of answers, or some kind of relief from physical difficulties, material difficulties, by acquiring wealth. Whereas in countries where many people have wealth, those people go back to simplicity and they try to look for something that gives them happiness. And this kind of struggle goes on and on and on, back and forth, and everywhere I have visited. It's not meant as criticism, but it's just my observation. And through the years, when I have taught and explained how our mind works, how our desires work, how our anger works, and how our wrong projections and wrong understanding and misunderstanding of the world around us actually makes us more thirsty, makes us more in want, more dissatisfied than satisfied. That our wrong projections, our wrong thinking, our wrong perceptions make us want more of actually what's not good for us, and want less or attain less of actually what is good for us. And because of habituations, this cycle goes on and on and on, creating tremendous amount of unhappiness in our minds. And when we are unhappy, we make the people around us unhappy. And then they in turn make us unhappy, we make them unhappy, and we just go on through life like that until our death. Buddhism is a great religion, like many other religions. Buddhism doesn't have all the answers for everyone. And it may not be suitable for everyone. And that's okay. Buddhism not being suitable for everyone doesn't mean that people who it doesn't suit are wrong, or that Buddhism is not complete. It's just a matter of affinity and needs. So Buddhism does have the answer for many of the dilemmas and many of the self-created problems that we go through. And if we realize that our problems are self-created, that's the first step towards an answer, a progress, a result. Buddhism does believe in higher beings, enlightened beings, awakened beings, beings that can bless us, help us, avert difficulties, and even direct us on the right path. But Buddhism doesn't believe that salvation are within those beings. Buddhism believes that salvation is within us to become those beings who are enlightened. That gets to what I want to tell you, is that I would like to create an institution. Not another temple, not another place for people to come and offer incense and do some meditation courses and feel good and just go away, but something that suits the modern people. I would like to start an institution that has yoga, that has qigong, that has Chinese traditional medicine, that has flower arranging, that has art, that has vegetarian cooking, that has Buddhist philosophy, that has philosophy. I would like to have that kind of institution somewhere in Asia where we can invite elite monks and teachers to come to this place and to give talks, give programs, give lectures, and have set themes or set courses for people to learn to improve. Because as Asia starts to become more and more materially advanced, more Asians, everyone, will start to look deeper inside to say, what else is there in life? And I think having this kind of institution would help very much. I have 13 departments in our organization, of which some is doing artwork, some is doing tailoring, some is doing traditional pujas, some are feeding the homeless, some are promoting vegetarianism. We have many different departments because I feel Buddhism isn't just meditating. I feel meditation is important, but it isn't just meditating. So that's what I want to achieve with my life, is I want to create an institution that isn't just praying, but a place where it educates people to think higher, to think bigger, to think out of the box, to think more. Not necessarily they enter our institution and leave a Buddhist, but they enter our institution, join our institution, and leave it or be a part of it or be involved with it and become a person that thinks wider, more of the environment, of animals, of people, of others' welfare, to stop thinking of themselves so much as they start to be concerned for others. And I think an institution rooted in Buddhism would be very, very helpful, not necessarily making people Buddhists. Now, I have a few eminent teachers who are very famous in Tibet and who have given me many predictions over the years that has proven true. One of my teachers who have given me many predictions that over time have proven very true, it is a result of his power of his meditations. And he told me that I should write a book and I should let people know about my life and my struggles and what I went through and the difficulties I went through and how I became a monk and why I became a monk, why I left the West to go to the East, why I'm doing what I'm doing. And he says that it would inspire many people out there. It would nurture, inspire, give hope, give direction, and maybe give ideas to many people out there. And I politely said to my teacher that my life is not worth talking about. I didn't do much. And I don't really like to talk about my life because I don't feel I've done much. But my teacher insisted. He says, you should write books. You should have your people write books, definitely about your life. And being that it was a consistent instruction from my teacher for over a few years, which meant that over the years I met him again and again, he would tell me the same thing over and over. So in order not to tire him out, I agreed. So my people have traveled to Xinjiang. My students and friends have traveled to Xinjiang, to Tibet, to America. They have traveled to Taiwan to research my background, to interview my relatives and friends and people who grew up with me, and came up with a very comprehensive information about my background and where I came from. So I was also instructed by one of my teachers, or blessed by one of my teachers, to do a movie of myself. Now, to all you very special people who are watching this video, how egotistical, how big-headed of me to think that I should make a movie of myself and tell the world. Well, let me make it very politely clear with all of you. It's not my idea. It's not myself who's actually interested in this. I am actually carrying out the instructions of my teacher. And most of the time I have, and they asked me to do this. What I told you just now is just a short synopsis of who I am or what happened to me. But when and if we meet, I can tell you a lot more. I can explain a lot more. And I guess for me, what I want to explain is not that I'm a Rinpoche in my previous life, is this High Lama, and I'm the reincarnation of this person, this personage, and I've got knowledge, and I'm some kind of teacher. That's not what I'm very much interested in. What I was interested in was the human story, that the struggles I went through, the pain, difficulties, and how much I had to push to live the dream I have. That it was not an easy journey. It was a very difficult journey, most of the time. And some of the things that I will relate to people, to you, to the film, to the book, to the world, can be shocking. You wouldn't think these things happen to a Buddhist monk or prior. You wouldn't think that these kind of things would happen to a person. But I have a lot of shocking stories, happy stories, boring stories, interesting stories, that I thought that if I share with the world, perhaps I can help a person. Perhaps I can change a person's life. perhaps I can make a difference in a person's life. And if I can do that, all of this would be worth it. My life would be worth it. I live my life for others. For the rest of my life, I will be a Buddhist monk. And I will teach the Dharma. And I will create social action, social awareness. For the rest of my life, I will concentrate on creating a great Buddhist institution where there's learning, there's study, there's practice, there's a creation of awareness. A temple, an institution that has not been seen in the world. You see, because a lot of Easterners and Westerners cannot go to Tibet and learn Buddhism the traditional way. It's too harsh, it's too severe, it's not wrong, it's too difficult. And a lot of the Tibetan lamas would find it difficult to remain and teach outside of Tibet in a traditional manner. So I thought to merge something of the old and the new so that Buddhism can take on a new facelift. Buddhism can take on a new renaissance, a new type of direction where it can appeal in its power of spirituality to lift people from their predicaments and give them hope, direction, knowledge, and wisdom. Something that makes their life worth living, more than they could ever imagine. At the same time, I would like to leave a legacy behind of a place where it educates people, not on a political level, on a spiritual level, to give something back to society in that kind of manner. So, doing the movie would help perhaps other people who are on a spiritual journey to continue, and more, the movie can bring awareness to the project that I would like to do, which is to create this kind of institution. So I would like to appeal to many special people out there who think similar along the lines that you would like to do more with your life. You would like to do something much more with your life. And help me to accomplish this. I'm going to make this tape short and sweet. So I'm going to end it here. The purpose of the movie is not to make me a superstar. I'm not interested in that anymore. The purpose of this movie is to create awareness of spirituality in the modern world, in the materialistic world, that it still has a place. Spirituality has a place in the modern world, and it takes people like you and me to bring that message across. Spiritual practices and spiritual values has a place in the modern world. And it's not only it has a place, it is necessary. That's the message. The second part of the message is I would like to create a beautiful institution that I call Kichara World Peace Center, where it will be an institution of learning for modern people to think, act, function, learn in accordance with spiritual values. And if my film can bring a lot of benefit to people and inspire them, then I will be most humbled. I'll be most happy. A simple, ordinary person like me, and the struggles that I went through, and the difficulties I went through, can inspire and change someone's life. It would be extremely humbling and gratifying. So I hope in the future we can all work together. We can speak, we can talk, we can meet to do something. Thank you very much. I wish you happiness, peace, and spiritual awakening. Thank you.
1965年10月24日，成吉思汗大帝的后代蒙古公主蒂哇宁波诞下了一位私生子，这让备受敬仰的公主蒙羞，并令这位刚出世的伊斯卡明王子与皇族头衔绝缘。 在小王子7个月大的时候，曾有身负使命的喇嘛前来认证这小孩是一位高僧转世。然而公主不想生父母的名字被公布，她毅然拒绝了这场伟大的身份认证。她说，如果真如你们所说，这个孩子是一名高僧的转世，那他将来必然会找到返回寺院的路。不久之后，生母决定放弃他，把他交给另一个家庭领养。这孩子渐渐成长，因为身材比较一般孩子壮大，而被大家称作小牛。小牛的童年备受忽略，每天3餐通常只有米饭和白糖。满口蛀牙的他并不喜欢这个家。3餐不饱的小牛常在台北街头四处游荡，寻找食物果腹。回到家，他就会被无辜处罚，经常被逼整晚跪在撒了米粒的地上。虽然这样的童年不好过，但他依然是位喜欢欢笑的快乐小孩。后来，他的外婆蒂茜明皇后把小牛带离台湾，飞到美国新泽西州的霍威尔。他把小牛交给一对卡尔梅克蒙古族夫妇波利斯和达纳布加雅，成为小牛的养父母，并把它改名为布查布加雅。年纪轻轻的布查对佛教有着说不出的着迷，他常不由自主地念诵6字真言 Om Mani Padme Hum。 巧合的是，美国第一所藏传佛教中心 Rashi Gampiling 就位于布查住家仅10分钟的距离。他对佛学的渴望找到了一所归宿。布加雅夫妇盼望着爱子长大后成家立业，有一份美好的工作，过着在他们眼中幸福而快乐的生活。然而，奉献佛法就是布查心中坚定的目标，甚至是终生的承诺。布加雅夫妇开始对佛教中心反感，布查与佛教的所有瓜葛都引爆了养父母心中的怒火。他们极力阻止布查到佛教中心去。养父母用繁重的家务填满布查的空闲时间。年少的布查要负责把1英亩大的家园打扫干净，从屋内的地板、衣服及碗碟的清洁，到庭院的每一片落叶，都得清理得干干净净。稍不留神，如果没把家务做好，将换来一身的毒打。后来，养母对他施予身心灵的虐待，他开始被无故毒打。养母用双腿夹着布查的腰部，用扫帚狠狠殴打他的臀部及双腿，直到扫帚被打断为止，再用另一把扫帚继续毒打。被打至耳鸣以及满身余伤的布查，半夜躲在被窝里颤抖，因为养母威胁他说，他会趁他睡着的时候，用1把刀刺进他的心口，把他杀死。这人人憧憬的美国生活，对布查来说，只有恐惧和伤痛。许多年以后，养母才被诊断出患有精神分裂症，而导致他的心理状况不稳定。虽然失控时的他常施暴于布查，但布查记得养母是非常慈祥的。布查从来都没有责怪养母的虐待，他明白这是因为妈妈生病了。在布查青年时期，养父母一再阻止布查往佛教中心去，他们开始重伤和抹黑布查的上师。为了保护佛教中心及他敬爱的上师，布查曾多次 尝试轻生及离家出走。在一次离家出走的路途中，布查还在枪口下被性侵犯，虽然成功逃脱，但最后还是被警察送回家。关上家门，警察离开以后，这里又在传来刺耳的惨痛和毒打声。15岁那一年，口袋只有50元美金的布查拎着2个皮箱，踏出了新泽西的家门，从此不再回头。孤身一人的他无依无靠，在路旁招便车，一路从新泽西经过不同的城镇，流浪到洛杉矶。布查在五光十色的洛杉矶完成基本学业以后，他找到了另一家佛教中心，让他毫无顾虑地继续修行佛法。为了糊口，年轻的他兼职3份工作，并在百忙中找出时间到佛教中心帮忙。当然，年轻帅气的布查也热爱时髦的玩乐。每当假期及周末，他爱穿上最酷的时装，通宵狂欢。身高6尺2寸，一脸异国帅气的布查常成为众人的目光焦点。他吸引了好莱坞影视界星探的目光，其中派拉蒙电影公司更曾招募他成为旗下的演员，另外还有色情影片的邀约。这时，来自甘丹萨祭寺的一位高僧至尊宋仁波切恰巧此时受邀到洛杉矶授课。这场邂逅是布查生命中最重要的转捩点。布查成为宋仁波切的私人助理，在短短的6个月里，布查尽心尽力，满怀喜悦地服侍宋仁波切及打理寺内繁重的琐事，以象征对上师一尘不染及坚定不移的依止心。宋仁波切也在此时向这位年轻的助理揭露一个事实，让布查一直以来为修行所做出的牺牲有了更深层的意义。宋仁波切正是这位年轻人是一位度过即尊贵高僧活佛的转世。布查刚巧在这个时候询问宋仁波切，自己应该成为演员还是僧人的问题。宋仁波切客观地告诉他，镜头前的他肯定会大红大紫，不过出家为僧则更能利益众生。听见上师这么说，他立即双掌合十，要求出家。当天傍晚，宋仁波切剪下布查的一撮头发，象征出家为僧，跟前途灿烂的好莱坞演艺事业告别。这场邂逅为布查不平凡的生命写下献身造福众生事业的新篇章。宋仁波切准备返回印度的同时，年轻的布查也为出家为僧做准备。然而他却在上班的某一天接到一通电话，告知他宋仁波切红化圆寂的消息。一时难以置信的他旋即陷入彻底的无助及幻灭之中。他跟宋仁波切之间留下的仅是出家为僧的誓言。他告诉自己必须履行这承诺，否则宋仁波切对他的慈悲将付诸东流。尽管养父母威胁布查，当他穿上僧袍时将与家人断绝任何的关系，布查依然带着尊敬的心，由衷地感激他们的养育之恩，同时心里也深深明白，他必须赴这场与生俱来的出家之约。在储蓄了足够的费用之后，布查终于前往印度，开始了生命的新页章。经过了不同阶段的磨练，正如布查生母亲所说的，如果这个孩子是一名高僧转世，那他将来必然会找到返回寺院的路。 从伊斯卡明王子、小牛到布查，他绕了半个地球，最终真的找到了回家路。法名为天津梭巴的布查，于公元1991年的坐床大典上被正式认证为尊贵的詹杜固仁波切，也就是转世高僧。在登上法座的那一刻，他却是完全孤独，没有任何家人出席这场庄严的盛事。虽然如此，他以真诚的信念许下承诺，要燃烧终其一生，照亮与利惠众生。